Chevron 1, encoded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry havoc, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2, encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3, encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4, encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5, encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6, encoded.
That's the line you can, lump boy.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
The day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to another Saturday Night Drive-In. I apologize for the slight delay. My camera decided to stop working literally 3 minutes before we were about to go live. So I had to mess around with wires, unplug things, plug them back in because it's a nest of things over here, and I had no idea which wire was to my camera. So it took a moment. But we're here, we're live, and we're going to have some fun. As always, I am joined by Jed, the Hollywood Scholar, the new host of CobraCast. Jed, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple hours, a day or so, because last night on CobraCast, Jeremy's entire system decided it needed a Windows update, so I had to take over CobraCast solo for a little while there. That was exciting. Of course, one of the first things I said was that Jeremy was gay, so it wasn't long before he called in some reinforcements to replace me. But it's always good to be here. I especially need this after how awful Assassin's Creed Mirage is. It is killing my brain cells. The game is that bad. It really is. And of course, Ubisoft is spouting nonsense again, lying in their marketing. So it's good to sit back and talk about a movie and at least have fun talking about it.
Yeah. See, everybody gives me shit about having a Mac, but my Mac never shuts everything down for an update. It never does that. I don't have that problem. And we are joined by one of our good friends, Dre from Brutal Planet Comics, one of our fellow Roundtable panelists. He couldn't stay away from this one. Dre, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm having a pretty good Saturday. One of the best
good.
Saturdays I've had in a long time.
I'm glad somebody is.
Yeah. So this is good. And to be reviewing this gem is always a glorious time.
Yes. Right. Hi, chat. How you doing? We'll just say hello to you because you guys generally like to just sit and watch us. We hope you enjoy this, guys. If you're having a good time, hit that like button. Talk amongst yourselves. Let us know what you're feeling as we go along. When we're all said and done, watching live or on the replay, leave a comment. We love to hear from you guys. So without further ado, Underworld. Kate Beckinsale in the tight leather. Just let that sink in for a moment because it's a glorious thing. Okay. All right. Dre. You're an old man like I am. You saw this when it came out, right?
Indeed.
You were there. All right. Tell us your feelings originally on this, how you came to it.
So when this first dropped in 2003, I was vibrant, young man,
filled with dreams and hopes, aspirations. Then I saw Kate Beckinsale in black leather, and I was no longer a young man. I was
That's
grown.
the term doing oh god I just my brain's not working today, guys. It's not working today. I'm still suffering from ball busters last night. It's
That'll do it.
kind of the fritz. It's when you started to do terrible things to yourself, huh?
Oh, unspeakable things.
Unspeakable things. There it is. Unspeakable things. That's it. That's the right term.
Unspeakable things. I fell in love. Like I've been in love with 3 white women in my entire life. The first one was Elizabeth Hurley.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Elizabeth Hurley, the first white woman I fell in love with. The second one was Kate Beckinsale, the second white woman I fell in love with. The third one was Emma Stone, but that's for different reasons.
Okay.
But
Emma Stone? I was
Stone.
right there with you for the first 2. I was right on board. And then
Look.
Emma fucking Stone?
Jed, you can judge me. It's fine. Everyone has judged me. Emma Stone was the third white woman I ever fell in love with. It was just something about her cute girl next door, big puppy eye thing or something.
Is it from a
It's got
certain
my
movie?
engine revving. God knows. God knows. But Kate Beckinsale was my leather goth queen.
Mm.
And the thing
yeah.
that she awoken. Ugh.
It hasn't gone back to sleep.
Oh, no.
No.
It is not. It is
I
not.
remember it was late 03. I was in New York. I was in culinary school. And there was literally a Blockbuster around the corner. Yes, that was a place once upon a time where we took little plastic cards and rented things. And every weekend, because it was culinary school, I didn't have homework to bring home with me. I left everything in the kitchen. So I watch movies. It's like, okay, I'm going to go around the corner, rent a couple movies, rent a couple games, because you could do that at Blockbuster too. And this is right around the time where Underworld was released on Blu-ray, or at the time DVD.
Yeah, I didn't think Blu-ray was a thing yet. Or at least
it was. I still had my PlayStation 2. That was my player of choice. And I went down. I'm like, oh yeah, it's that vampire werewolf movie. I'll rent this. Oh look, I'll rent Curse of the Black Pearl too. Haven't seen that yet
That's
either.
a good choice.
Oh yeah.
So it was around the same time I rented these, and I just had a great time. It was like, wow, this was a great evening. And Kate Beckinsale is just goddamn stupid beautiful. Just stupid beautiful. And I realized, okay, this was a nice little movie, and then it spawns 4 others, 4 sequels in a prequel. And is there diminishing returns over time? Of course there is. But I still spent hang on, I wasn't prepared. I still happily spent $12 a year ago and got them all on Blu-ray.
You're not the only one.
Yes, great minds. Great minds. So I could watch them all back to back when I want to, and it's just turn my brain off stupid fun. It's not serious. It's out of your mind. There's a lot you gotta reach sometimes, but I still like it. And of course, the bonus of Kate Beckinsale is just a beauty. Even right now at 53.
Yeah, she looks fantastic.
Still
looks the same,
looks the same. And you gotta wonder, what is Pete Davidson packing that he bagged that for a little while?
I don't know. I think I think he's kidnapping these women. It's got
he's dating too many beautiful women.
It makes no sense. You know what? This is the sign we're in the darkest timeline that Pete Davidson gets Kate Beckinsale.
Ridiculous.
That's sign. Now,
it's a sign of the apocalypse.
Jed, this was your first time watching it. Many times, this has not gone the way I've hoped when we have these situations. Where are we with you on Underworld?
All right, so I did just finish the movie about half an hour ago, so it's still very fresh in my mind, and it is a dumb fucking movie. Oh my god, it is stupid. But I feel like this is a perfect example of the art of the bad film. Like, I wish bad films today were like this film, because it was stupid. There was a lot of things I rolled my eyes at, especially the dude with silver whips in the puddle versus the werewolf. It's so fucking dumb. But you still can enjoy yourself. It's not necessarily something that's for me. I doubt I'll ever rewatch it, but I don't have anything against it. It wasn't a waste of time, and it's the art of the bad film. A bad film can still be enjoyable from back in the day, unlike current day.
Jed, it's actually funny you mentioned that because me and my wife just watched it about an hour ago.
I finished watching it about an hour ago.
Yeah, about
I
an
was
hour
late.
ago. And she said the same thing you said with the whips. She was like, "What is he doing? Doesn't he have a gun?" You know?
It was so stupid, and it got caught immediately. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no way, you're underground with giant fucking whips? Yeah, it's gonna get caught pretty soon. But I think the first half of the movie was a lot more solid than the second half. The second half just kind of just devolves into Matrix combat.
The pace quickens up because they had a lot to get out there in terms of the story. Which I think they then realized going on with the further of the sequels that, okay, we can spread it out. And then they realized, hey, let's just make a whole prequel about the start of the war because people want to see more of Bill Nighy and Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen's the one who shocked me the most in this movie. I'd heard he was in this franchise, but I imagine it'd be something like I'd seen him before. I've never seen him in an intimidating role before, but he really did a good job in this movie. Like, I believed people were afraid of him. That's never something I've gotten from him as an actor before. So yeah, he definitely very much impressed me. But the world building in general was probably the thing I was the most disappointed with. It was weird.
And that they made the whole prequel and they flush it out more in the second movie. You get more of the lore, you get more of it. I mean, the guy who wrote it was the giant black dude, Ray, who played Ray's. He's the guy who wrote all this. He's the creator of all this.
I love him, and I love his voice.
His voice is so insane.
The deep voice, yeah.
You gotta watch. You think it's not real for a second, but that's his voice.
But that's the way he talks. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, all right. So,
and Bill Nighy was perfect. He's
Bill
always
Nighy is great.
This was the film I was introduced to him because I didn't watch a lot of British television and stuff like that. So when I was introduced to Bill Nighy from this film, and I was like, I'm not gay, but I think I'm in love with this man. Like his presence. Every time he's on screen, he chews up every inch of the scenery. And I'm like, yo, give me more of this. And that's pretty much what the fan base pretty much said.
It's one of the reasons they did the prequel.
That's why the prequel was made, because we wanted to see more of Bill Nighy on screen.
Yeah,
because,
we only get him for a brief moment in the beginning of the second movie in a flashback, and then he's gone because Victor's dead.
Yeah, because he's dead. No, but this is right before he showed up in Pirates of the Caribbean as Davy Jones. I imagine this movie is probably why he got that role.
Possibly. Jocks or no, I don't think this is based on a video game. This is purely out of the mind of the dude who we were talking about. Yeah, and all right. So for those who are completely unfamiliar, this is basically your classic werewolves versus vampire story. In fact, this is kind of what people refer to these days when they think of werewolves versus vampires. This is where they go. And it's been going on for 1,400 years. The vampires seem to be winning the war. But in fact, there's a plan going on by the original leader of the werewolf rebellion, Lucian, to end the war, but in not so much destroying the vampires, but creating something that will tip the balance in their favor. It's again, this is where Jed's point is pretty accurate. A lot of the motivations are all clear, what everybody wants to do, but there's not a lot of depth to the motivations.
No,
which again is filled in by the prequel, which again, I don't watch the prequel that often, but it is a solid movie because it really is all about building out the world and giving you more. But so you understand Lucian's ideas. Celine in this movie, honestly, Celine is the weakest character, even though Kate Beckinsale is the star.
They don't get any chemistry between her and Michael. None whatsoever, which is the catalyst for her supposed arc.
In the unrated edition, you get a little bit more of that when he's in the holding cell. When she takes him to the holding cell, you get a little bit more.
I forgot. Jed wasn't watching the unrated edition like we were.
If you get the unrated edition,
I didn't even know there were differences. or a
Yeah,
different
yeah, it's
edition?
about maybe 10 more minutes of them
Mm.
interacting, and you get to know more about him, what happened to his girlfriend,
Mhm.
It's kind of
and
important.
yeah,
Mhm.
it was kinda important. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she kinda breaks down more about her, and they have more on-screen
There's a little
chemistry in
more to
the
do.
unrated version.
They spent a lot more time in the second movie giving them things,
Yeah.
and you know, I guess I guess it's one of those instances where it's not a good excuse to say they do more in the second movie, but they do.
They do.
And even though the second movie moves a lot faster than this one, the second movie is essentially a chase movie, is what it is. It's an on the
Yeah,
run movie. This is
yeah.
more this is the setup, the build up. Anyway, so getting back to the foundation of what's going on, everybody's motivations are clear. There's just not a lot of depth. We understand Lucian wants to end the war. His idea is to create a hybrid between vampire and werewolf. The vampires just want to eradicate it. The werewolves just honestly, the werewolves just want to be left alone. It seems like they just want to be left alone. They don't. This is not a war that they wanted. It's a war that they were forced to start. So, but let me ask you this, Jed. Story. How did you feel about the plot twists towards the back end of it? In terms of the revelation of what started the war, and that this whole time the vampires aren't really the good guys, they are the aggressors, they're the bad ones. How did you feel about that plot twist in terms of setup and build up and payoff?
I mean, the twist with Michael Sheen being involved, I don't think changes a whole lot about the story. And going into it, I just kind of assumed the vampires would be the villains. It's very
Mhm.
cliche. So, and they set it up to the degree that I 100% saw it coming. Like, none of the twists necessarily surprised me. Like,
Mhm.
I really don't think this is a deep movie or
No, it's
a
not.
particularly profound movie. So, yeah, none of the
It's dumb
twists I don't
fun.
think. It's very dumb.
It's dumb fun. You just turn your brain off and watch vampires and werewolves fight each other in various ways.
Hmm.
And
So as far as the twist for me,
yeah.
like, I mean, I have to rewind 20 years so I can
Mhm.
try to remember what my brain was
Yeah.
thinking at
Yeah.
that time, like when I first saw it. Um, how the thing was framed, I think it was framed very well
Mhm.
because Celine is our protagonist, but we're following her journey, and then we realize that she is fighting for the wrong side, and that the person that she trusted the most is
Yeah.
literally the biggest villain. And like for her to come to that realization, I think is pretty cool. Now, as far
Mhm.
as like we understanding, because for us, the Lycans are framed as bad guys because
Right
we
away.
openly
Yeah.
see them kidnapping somebody, all that stuff. So they're framed that way. But to see that really they're the ones that were being oppressed the whole time, I think works well for the
Mhm.
context of the film. Is it tremendous? No, but that's not the
No.
point. But I think it works really well, and I kind of liked it.
Yeah, see, for me, the twist of Victor being the big villain all along, again, not surprised, but I felt it was a good little subversion because this whole time, again, like Dre said, we are backing Celine. We want Celine to win. We're feeling that she's getting pushed around, that no one's listening to her, and finally she goes to Victor to get her to try and bring in the big gun to get things the way she wants it. And when she does that, and then Victor's on the scene, you're thinking, oh man, here's a badass elder. He's gonna do some badass shit. And he's now going to be on her side. And now look, now he's on her side, and you're feeling elated. And then Craven gives the reveal that it was Victor that slaughtered her family, not the Lycans, that it was Victor that started the war by through Lucian. And we get Victor started the war by killing his own daughter, Sonia, and just because she was pregnant with Lucian's child, a natural born hybrid. To me, again, you're both right. It's not the deepest reveal, but for me at the time, it was a good little bit of subversion because I had been happily led down the path that the movie wanted me to be led down the path at the time. Not thinking, just watching. To borrow our phrase, of just consuming, just sitting back and not thinking about it. And going, oh, damn, Victor's the bad guy. Okay, here comes big fight with Victor at the end. All right, I'm okay with that. Here we go. Which again is, and we could talk about that later. But the way the twist happens, I was okay with it. Again, not mind blowing, not particularly deep, but paint by numbers, but in the good way. It's not. The movie isn't ruined every time you watch it. I still love seeing Victor come on the scene. Like you guys said, Bill Nighy, he is just chewing up the scenery. Little inflections, little noises he can make is just drawing you in. And it's again, I'm just having fun. I'm just enjoying myself, not having the time of my life, but just being, I think Lagata said it right here. It is escapist entertainment.
Mhm.
It is just that. It doesn't, Jed, we say it all the time, this movie's not trying to be more than anything what it is. And it's relying heavily on good. Would you say, though, that the action sequences, Whip Guy Side, which was made for the trailer? I think that was made for the trailer because I remember seeing that Whip Dude in the trailer. I think that's a trailer scene that they kind of played up in the trailer and then realized, okay, here it is in the movie. It's not as good as in the movie. But I think the set pieces, the action set pieces, I think they're done well because they also they do what they respect something I love. They keep track of the ammo. They don't lose track of their ammo. Everybody's reloading clips constantly.
I feel like this movie really wanted to remind people of The Matrix, which was only 4 years before this. Timing works out. Like with the leather that they're wearing, the type of flowy, jumpy, wire work fight sequences. I got a lot of Matrix vibes out of this. And the fantastical elements, I think, damage that style of fighting. So it's definitely not something for me. Like I said, I doubt I'll ever watch this movie again. It's not really something for me. I get why people like that type of fight sequences, but yeah, the fight sequences never really engaged me or got me to fully invest in the film and go full escapist. But no strong negative reactions either. It's like,
I mean, I'm getting the feeling it's just more of a meh from you at this point. It's just like, meh. I mean, it's not Golden Child level of rejection.
No, nothing like that.
But see, I like the gunplay scenes throughout the whole thing, and I like it because Dre, I appreciate it that it's a modern setting and they're treating these two enemies that have basically been at war for 1,400 years are fighting modern warfare tactics. I appreciate that. I know. I bet you do too.
Yeah. So like, I loved all these set pieces. Like I loved them all. The throne room was tremendous. The fact that they used actual clockwork in all of those different sets, I think is glorious. There was no dome to fall back on or any of that craziness. The CGI obviously is dated, but it's also fused in with like stop motion.
It doesn't hurt my eyes to see the CGI werewolves. I'm okay with it.
Exactly. They found a way to use stop motion when it comes like the transformations of the Lycans. A lot of good puppet work is being used at the same time. The practical sets were done really, really nicely. Like there's so much to like about it. For me. There's so much to like
those things I 100% agree on that.
Yeah, it was like for me that really brought a lot because even during that time period, because think about it, that was 2003. We had 2 Star Wars movies from the prequels at that time that were done with all blue and green screen by that time this film even comes out. So that was on the table. But that somebody actually used practical sets throughout this entire film is tremendous. And the CGI was mostly strictly used for either splatter effect or Lycan motion. That's freaking awesome. I think it was really done. And the fight scenes I enjoyed. I love gun fu. So I'm in it 110%. Wire work and shooting and jumping off of buildings. You had me at hello. So that's like so for me, like all those sets work for me. I thought it was really good.
And I like I said, I like it that it's the new mix of this type of supernatural warfare, but they're using modern weapons. And I like the monster rules that they're using in this. They're keeping the I know that some mythology likes to have vampires allergic to the silver. We know that Marvel does it, but they do it other things. I appreciated that they kept it. Werewolves don't like silver. The vampires don't like daylight. And even though these are supernatural creatures with high regenerative powers, they die from all manner of things. We see at one point during the battles, Victor breaks the neck of a werewolf. We see Celine breaks the neck of a vampire. Victor just basically, when he kills the Lycan scientist in the throne room, just a single punch, and he clearly was enough force to shatter everything in his head. and after that, we see the Lycans will gore the vampires, but then they give us the proper weaknesses. The best way to put weakness: the silver and the sunlight.
Mhm.
And you get the silver nitrate rounds, you get the UV rounds.
I can agree with all that up until what you just mentioned there at the end. The hyper sci-fi weaponry like the silver nitrate and more specifically the UV bullets, that just feels very out of place to me for like a grunge street level. Like, yes, gung fu, but that seems like hyper sci-fi just out of nowhere. And they don't even bother to explain it. Like, when they first find those guns, they're like, you probably stole it from the government or the military. Why would the military make light bullets?
Well, they said the tech attack, but here's the thing. Here's something I actually do like about one of the things I do like about this movie. Is like about this movie. I was thinking about it yesterday when I started watching it. When I finished it today, you have no idea where this takes place. This is
True.
just city in the modern world, and they continue doing that with the remaining movies. You have no idea. Yes, it looks like it's America because everybody's speaking English in a hospital, but it's almost as if this is some sort of alternate reality world where it's just happening, because there's no idea. Even in this movie, in Evolution, the sequel, in Awakenings, which involves a time skip, and then in Blood Wars, which involves even more of a time skip, you have no idea where and when any of this takes place.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
I'm
would
okay-
assume it's New York. From the architecture, especially the sewer systems, that's what I think it was at least modeled
But they don't
after
tell you,
mostly.
and they never tell you, and they never let you know. And for me, in terms of my escapism and allowing me to not think too heavily about it,
Yeah.
I like it because
Yeah.
it's just happening in a city.
Yeah.
And
Like Jed, you would think in New York. I honestly thought this was in the UK somewhere. I always thought this took place like the UK because like when I was just thinking about the architecture as far as their mansion was concerned, of how their mansion was set up, that felt like UK architecture to me. And a lot of the head vampires in there were British. So it was like like I said, it could be anywhere, and I think that's kind of cool. It's well done.
and that's part of, to me, one of the strengths of the movie is that you're not thinking that I have to put this in the real world anywhere, that it's happening anything like this, and it allows me to just, again, watch it and enjoy it. And again, you might be wondering, how does this war go on for 1400 years and nobody knows about it? Well, again, that's answered in the second movie and this and that, but I'm allowed to just enjoy the movie without having to decide, oh man, there's no way the US government's letting this kind of go crazy all over the place in a major American city, or even a European government's going to let all this happen. No, because it just doesn't tell you where it is. Just don't where it is. I mean, you even think, well, Amelia must have not been that far away because she arrives on that antiquated looking train and they're just pulling up in the station. Pulling up a station where there's no population, and they're just going to roll up and have a massacre. Again, if you think too hard, you ask the questions. But if you accept the setting is just anywhere, who knows where the fuck it is, you kind of go, okay, all right, I'm just going to let it happen. But to Jed's point, and I think, Jed, you do appreciate, the cinematography is really nice in this. The settings,
absolutely.
everything looks good. And
yeah, from a technical aspect, this film is impressive. Just like Dre said, with the stop motion, the animatronics, the set design. The set design was brilliant. Like, all the technical stuff, I have zero issues with. It's a very beautifully made movie. It's just not the type of movie that I'm normally into. Like, I'm not saying any of what I'm saying is a bad thing. It just doesn't necessarily appeal to me. Like, Gung Fu in general doesn't normally appeal to me. The Matrix is the main exception to that, and more because of the sci-fi elements of that one.
And the only Matrix movie.
The only Matrix movie. And I do find the gunplay cringe in the Matrix, but that's a me thing. I love the story of the Matrix. That's what makes that the exception.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about this, again, is I like vampire werewolf shit. I just like vampire werewolf shit. That's something I'm always, if I see vampire werewolf, especially in anime, I see vampire werewolf, I'm probably gonna watch it because I'm interested in that stuff. And back to my point, though, I appreciated that they, again, I jumped away from my own point. I'm sorry.
It's probably my fault.
No, it's all right. I appreciate the kind of realistic take on the vampires and the werewolves that they give. It's genetic based. It's not supernatural based. It's based upon the fact that somebody was a genetic freak over 1,000 years ago, and his genetic freakishness caused these mutations to happen. They're not undead. They're not radically. They're not cryptos. They're not cryptics like the werewolves cryptics. They're just mutations of human beings, and they're all immortal. I like that. I do like the twist that the werewolves are immortal too. That they're not just aging. And I also like the twist they put in there that you can't just turn people, at least in the modern day. And I think they explain it in the rest of the sequels about how it's unusual that it happens, because they mention it that Michael should not have been turned. It's, of course, knowing what he is, of course he would be turned, because he is the blood descendant of the Corvinus Corvinus bloodline. I can speak, I swear to God. But most of the time it doesn't happen, which explains the lack of numbers on both sides. And possibly what I appreciate is I love the decadence of the Vampire Coven. Because it shows the just laziness that only the death dealers care. And the rest of them just like, la, 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 la. I'm going to sit here and smoke. I'm going to do whatever I want while you all go out and dirty your hands. I appreciate those aesthetics, because for me, it allows me to go, you're assholes. You're a bunch of assholes. So now that we've got the twist that you are assholes, you're full on assholes, I'm okay to hate you. I'm okay liking the werewolves. Of course, later on, the werewolves get just as bad. That's one thing that I do like about the entire franchise as a whole. Everybody in the end is a shithead, for the most part. Only a few in the end managed to break away when they were formed at the very end of the series. But everybody's a shithead in the end, and I like that in terms of this. So it allows me to root for both sides equally at different points. All right, so let's just go over the characters real quick again. Celine, we talked about Kate Beckinsale is just she's our eye candy. We are all in love with her. Every time I look at this, I am just thinking about the things I want to do to her. Even I know I am just a horrible toxic male, but I'm sorry. The need to have my what's a good way to put this without being too disgusting?
Loins.
Well, yeah, my loins want to be. My loins are involved.
Titillated.
Titillated. Well, I want my bloodline to continue through Kate Beckinsale. I want that to happen.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I want
Very
that to
good
happen.
one.
I really want that to happen. That's a thing. Whenever I watch this movie, but Celine herself, again, in this first movie, she is paper thin. It seems a little too fast how she connects with Michael, and they're already kissy by the end. I recognize that. And again, they give us more to work with in the next movie, and so on and so forth, without spoiling things for other people if they haven't seen it all the way through. But it's still, I think her paper thinness lends her for us to easily relate to her. Is that fair, Dre?
Yeah, she is a milquetoast protagonist, so that we can easily see ourselves as her. She doesn't really have a whole lot of a personality, except she's headstrong and is driven. But that makes it easy for me to just slip into her boots and just, enjoy.
Well, I want to slip into her boots, all right.
Most definitely.
But she's not girl bossy.
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. But once again, we have to rewind the clock, because this is 20 years ago.
Literally,
none of this,
literally,
whatever we live in now existed. This wasn't even a thought. She has autonomy. Michael has autonomy. They save each other a couple of times. Like,
it takes both of them to beat Victor. It takes both of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then they have to work together. Absolutely.
She only is able to get the final kill shot because he was distracted, and he dropped his sword. And then if she hadn't got the kill shot, Victor would have torn her up. There's no way at this point she go toe to toe.
That final kill shot was pretty cringe, though. Like, sliced through his entire skull. He doesn't notice, stands up, looks at her, threatens her, and's like,
I have an explanation. I have an explanation. Probably because for a second, his regenerative powers were trying to hold him together, and it couldn't, so he died.
Well,
that's my explanation.
You'd think he'd notice and wouldn't be able to talk.
He didn't talk.
He didn't say anything.
He didn't say anything.
I thought he had some like generic line. He had a lot of generic in this lines in this fight, like "time to die."
He turned around. He broke out a couple of dual blades. He was about to go to town on her, and
how did he do all that?
Because he's the GOAT, Jed. Because he's the GOAT.
High evolved species. Evolved species.
And then it's just like
God,
he went like cartoon villain level of stuff.
I love it. I loved every second.
Super villain. He turns into a super villain, and it's
100% is that.
Yeah, and but I see. I worked for it, but they both had to beat him, so that way. It wasn't her stealing Michael's win because Michael had worn him down and he was distracted. And she didn't. It's not like she went toe to toe with him. She's got the sword, got the hit in.
Yep.
And then was realized, okay, I hope that killed him because if it doesn't, I'm dead.
Yeah, pretty much. And like they do a good job in showing how powerful like Victor is.
Yes.
Because Raish is like the second strongest of all the of the Lycans, and he solos Raish like he's nothing.
Yeah, one-handed.
He grabs him, breaks his arm, and then go ahead and stabs him immediately.
Yeah.
And it showed like how he was able to stop Raish's arm in mid swipe and break it and stuff. So it set.
I appreciate power moves like that for our
it
bad
set a
guys.
precedent.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good that they set that up. So it shows that when Michael's actually getting hits in, it's a big deal because this dude can solo
Setup and
Lycan
payoff.
hand to hand.
It's small setup and payoff, but it works, and it shows you what a big deal the hybrid is. When Michael, and we'll talk about Michael now. Michael's whole thing, again, they rush it. Jed misses a few scenes because, again, that's the problem when we buy these things and they include the unrated edition stuff like that. When guys like Dre and I who own the shit and we watch it over and over again, we forget that there are theater editions.
Yeah.
That there's a theater release because we don't remember that. And even if you see it on streaming, if they have it someplace, or you still have terrestrial TV, they don't show necessarily unrated vision. So today I forgot that Jed probably didn't watch that thing. So you don't get those extra scenes that gives Michael a little bit more. Granted, even with this movie next week, Michael is not, again, the most developed of characters. He gets stuff to do, but he gets sidelined pretty quickly going forward for reasons both within the movie and outside. There are also production issues why the dude why he eventually left the series, why they didn't go with him anymore. But it's still, you're like Dre said, there's the included scene where it's about his girlfriend dying, why he became a doctor, why he's alone in the city, why he lives like he does. And early on, this movie does do a few things well in terms of show, don't tell. A lot of action speaking for characters, letting them see do stuff. That first time we see Michael during the Lycan attempted kidnapping in the train station, the subway station, instead of getting on the train and getting the hell out, he throws himself into the middle of it to save the woman that's been wounded. And then make sure that he's involved with her surgery in the hospital. So we get that idea that Michael, he is brave. He's not a coward. He is self-sacrificing. And we know then that's because of watching his girlfriend die. He doesn't want to ever see that happen again. Again, now why he connects to Celine so quickly, they didn't really give us enough to work with.
Because she's hot. That's why. That's why I connected her so quickly.
I accept that answer. Because I would do the same thing. I'm that shallow.
Well, it's still a better relationship than Bella and either man in the Twilight series.
I don't know what those are because I never watched that garbage.
I can say confidently that the best compliment I can give to Underworld is that it's better than the Twilight series.
Yeah, everything's better than the Twilight series.
Everything is that. Diarrhea is better than that.
Twilight is just,
agree.
And that's also vampire. But Adam, you love vampires versus werewolves.
Those
That's what
aren't
that whole movie
vampires.
is.
Lagata said it right here. Let me scroll up. Where was it? Well, Lagata said it somewhere in the chat here.
Yeah,
I
I see it. It's
Yeah.
sparkly
Yeah.
shit does not count as vampire werewolf movie.
Yeah. Sparkly vampires are not vampires, and that's not a vampire werewolf movie. That's female porn, is what that is.
God, now I'm remembering that movie. Why'd you say it out loud, Jed? Dang.
The chat's been
Saw it.
talking about it.
The chat's talk, and also we heard each other here. You know that, Trey. We heard.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It happens.
Now I'm remembering it.
All right, so Michael again. I categorize him the same as Celine, same paper thin, but that it's there so that we can easily relate to him and relate to him in terms of he has just been pulled into this whole conflict.
Fish out of water.
Fish out. Good way to put it. Fish out of water.
Yeah.
At first, he doesn't want anything to do with it, but then once he starts to understand it, he says, "Fine, I'm in." And then of course you're also in because you have Kate Beckinsale. She's yours and she's into you. She's into you for reasons that she can't explain. I think though the best characters with the deepest story are the ones who got even bigger stories with the backstory, are of course Lucian and Victor and even Craven. And that's the hard thing. Every time you watch this, I have to remind myself that Craven really isn't a bad guy. He's not. He's a dick. He's a self-serving dick, but he knows the truth of it all. And to be fair and objective about it, he's trying to put an end to this. Yes, again, self-serving manner by then having a coup and killing everybody that was older than him and stronger. But he's not wrong. Trey, he's not wrong.
You're right. He's not wrong. I mean, like you said, he's all in for himself.
Yeah.
And which is fine. And that's one way you can look at this film, as there are no heroes and villains in a sense. Since it's a blood feud, it's not directly like, oh, they want to take over the world or anything like that. It's just we got beef and we want this settled. And then from Craven's perspective, it's like from Craven's perspective, it's like, yo, I've been fighting this for, I think, what is he, 800 years old? I think he's 800.
He was there when the war started, so 1400 years.
So maybe it's 1400. I guess he's around there.
Yeah.
So he's been looking at this for 1,000 years. He knows the elders are going to keep this thing cycling forever. He wants absolute power and he wants the war to end because his deal was, I want an ironclad peace treaty and I'm going to rule this joint. So I'm like, I'm kind of with it. And to have Celine by his side, that dude was thirsty.
Yeah. And he keeps throwing aside blonde vampire girl. They're even making out at one point. And it just
Erica.
Oh, you get some nice underboob in a shot there.
Yes.
It's an underboob shot.
Yes. Now in the unrated joint, there's some excellent side boob on when because she tries
there. He goes, "I have a job for you." She goes, "That can wait." Takes off the top.
Yep.
Yeah, takes that out. Now I'm like, all right, I'll wait. Take notes.
And that's the correct answer. Oh, boobs. Yeah, it can wait. It can wait. We're gonna make out now. We're gonna do vampire makeout. That's gonna happen.
But I would definitely agree with you. Lucius and what's his bucket, Victor, are without doubt the best characters in this, and that's mainly because of performance, not necessarily
two best actors.
Writing.
The two best actors in the movie, Michael Sheen and Bill Nighy, are the two best actors in the movie. They both chew up the scenery. Like you said, Jed, this is the first time you've seen Michael Sheen being this kind of an aggressive character and all stuff you've seen. And
he did a great job.
And he goes even harder core in the prequel.
Really?
That thing is all about the war. That's the war starting. And that's no guns. That's all sword play and fisticuffs. That thing. Because that's
it devolves into a sword and arrow type film. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I really like the relationship between Sonya and Lucian in that one. Honestly,
Rhoda Mitra is pretty hot. So it's good.
Oh yeah. Muy picante. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes.
There's good casting in there. And good casting because the whole thing is that Victor doesn't kill Celine because he reminds her of Sonya, and Rhoda Mitra very similar in build and sexiness to Kate Beckinsale. So that was a good recast from the flashbacks in this one.
Yeah. Her lips are thick as grits.
Thing is, though, so Lucian and Victor. Lucian, Michael Sheen steals every scene he's in, especially when he actually says, "Do I have to do everything myself?" And then when he goes after Michael and fights with him and Celine, it's just that's good stuff to me. Again, that's good actor, can do the action too, makes it believable. And you realize, I like at that point you realize how strong Lucian is when he's just literally brute forcing the silver bullets out of his body after that fight. I just thought that's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it showed how much stronger he is than the other Lycans. So he brute force the bullets out and then ran and caught up to the car solo, non-transform style.
Yeah.
That's balls to the wall amazing.
Yeah.
And was able to get both bloods so he can still test. So he was able to get Michael's and Celine's so he could do the test, so he can take it back to the doctor so he could get the whole test to see if it would combine.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliantly done.
And then
really
Victor's emergence into the story. After the buildup that Celine had been giving him, Victor's going to help me. Victor will listen. Victor still rules here. And then Bill Nighy in fantastic practical makeup.
Tremendous. Oh, man.
Just sitting there. Just ruling.
Yeah. And like he's barely on the screen for like 2 minutes from that point. From that point, he's been on screen like 2 minutes, and I'm sitting there, hand down pantaloons. I'm done. I'm sitting there. Right when you hear him, watch this rock-ass, I'm like, oh, snap. Yes, sir. I'm in. I'm in.
It's great. Jed, though, I mean, again, presence matters.
Oh, absolutely.
Presence matters. Being a part of being a character who can demand everybody's attention in a scene matters. I mean, we've been talking about a lot of crap shows lately in our real time. If people are watching this on Evergreen Watch, when we recorded this is the era of Ahsoka. This is the era of Wheel of Time. This is the era of Rings of Power. And all these are watching. Jed, how many times have we talked about recently in all these shows where you have a character that's supposed to be on the screen and you're supposed to be threatened by them, but you're not? Because
constantly.
And because both the character adaptation and the actors put into place, you're just going,
Well, I think the best example of current stuff that you particularly worked on was Admiral Thrawn in Ahsoka.
Yep.
You should be intimidated by Thrawn. He should be the scariest motherfucker in the room just because of his presence.
Yep.
But Dad bod doesn't really help that, and insane writing with strategy of a toddler doesn't help either.
Yeah, and this is no shot at Lars Mikkelsen. He's only as good as the writing he gets, but at the same time,
he phoned it in. He had to have.
He was only the voice originally. He wasn't the physical thing. They only put him here because he was the voice, because all the stands are going, oh, I want to let Nickel think he voiced it. No. You get a moment like this. Bill Nighy comes in. I'm Victor. I'm Bill Nighy. I have screen presence. I have authority. I am a husk of a creature hooked up to a machine that's pumping me full of blood, and you're all still frightened of me. You're coming in, you're dropping to your knees because even in this state, I can kill you, or I can give the order to kill you, and everybody. Presence, Drake. Presence.
Oh my goodness! And that's like, and once again, Bill Nighy is that guy. And the casting for this was absolutely flawless.
Spot on.
It was flawless, because I really cannot imagine anybody else in that role. And to me, he steals the freaking show.
Yeah,
I think he had like a total of maybe
15,
maybe 15 minutes, maybe.
I mean, he's got
I can see it.
two 5-minute throne room scenes where first he's Celine and then is delivering judgment on her. Then there's the interrogation with the werewolf, the Lycan scientist. Maybe that goes 10 minutes. And then he's I would say 20 minutes. Let's be fair, 20 minutes, because he's there in the final battle, in the final assault. So, but again, out of a 2-hour, 13-minute movie.
Yeah.
He's in it for about 20
minutes tops. 20 minutes tops, and he steals the freaking show, his presence, his delivery, the mannerisms, the overall presence, like if you watch it for the first time, you know this man's in charge.
And you love that
not
feeling,
even-
don't you? You love the feeling of the powerful dude on the scene. I love characters like that. This you respect this or you die.
Exactly.
I am in
And
charge. No
And
question.
he has a code. And he has a code that he will not waver from.
No.
No matter what.
Wrong button. Not even for his own flesh and blood.
Yep.
Because he's so aghast.
Yeah.
That his daughter bred with what he considered literally a mongrel.
Yep. And then even with Celine, his surrogate daughter or whatever he wants to view her as, he was like, yeah, I get why you did it, but you weren't supposed to do it. So you must be judged. And you gotta go. And I get your reasoning, but you broke the rule. So you're done. I'm like,
that's why we hate current day girl bosses, because they get away with everything. She was going to be punished severely, maybe not killed, but punished severely. If Amelia and the council of elders had gotten there, she was going to be punished.
Exactly.
And does she break out? Yeah, that's because she's given help to break out. Otherwise, she was trapped. She didn't get on her own. Blonde vampire chick helped her out.
Yeah,
that's the only
because
reason
she
she got
wanted
out.
to get into Craven's draws.
And then she comes back. Celine, Celine has the evidence, she comes back, and Victor did that. But Dash makes a great point. Victor never did follow his own rules because, and that again, that gives you the flaw in the great leader, because he is also a monster.
Oh yeah.
They're
full on demon baby.
Yeah,
absolutely.
When he's and again, that's why I said in the end, Craven kind of did nothing wrong in terms of his process. Yeah, he tried to make Celine be his, and that's wrong. But he didn't do anything wrong because he knew the real monster, and he was the keeper of secrets. He was the man who cleaned up the mess.
Yep.
So I mean, to me, it's all good. Yes, it is surface level storytelling. It's on, but when it connects the dots properly for me, and I'm okay with it,
and that's fine. And when for those of us that are old enough to remember during that time period, it was a whole lot of B movies coming out during that time.
This is a B movie. This is a B movie that made it to the big screen. That didn't go straight to video. Definitely.
Because if memory serves me right, I think it's released in fall of 2003.
Let me think.
Because I know Daredevil was summer.
It had to be somewhere around. We could look it up before we. I know Legatus is probably looking it up as we speak, but I want to play the guessing game for a second, just because. I was in culinary school from late 2003 into early 2004. So it had to drop somewhere in the fall. I don't remember when I rented it. So it had to be somewhere. It had to be late 2003 when it dropped.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking September. Okay, so not fall. Yeah.
So
perfect. Yeah,
September,
fall.
October.
Perfect.
So let's say it had a 2-month run in the theaters. So that means October, November. I rented it somewhere probably between December and January is when I rented it, because that's because back then it was 3 months from theater to shelf.
Yep.
And this is when all we had was glorious physical media, none of the digital stuff. You had to go to the store. You had to get a tape or DVD to watch it. So it was about December or January when I literally walked around the corner and rented it. And,
because I remember. I'm trying to have a flashback myself, because I remember when I walked down to the Blockbuster that was on Columbia Road, and because that day, because me and my brother, we went to the movies, we saw Underworld, then we went to Blockbuster down the road and rented. Oh man, something. We rented something that day. We went to the Blockbuster and we rented something. Dang it!
So
that's gonna bug you all. That's gonna bug you all night now, isn't it?
That's gonna bother me. That's gonna bother me.
You'll get it eventually. You'll be eating dinner. They're going like, "That's it. I got it." That's what's gonna happen.
Well, it looks like Underworld had a $22 million budget and made $95 million. So that's money.
Again, yeah, metrics 20 years ago completely different on what break even was.
Even by today's, that's
yeah.
Yeah, no matter how we scale it, Adam, which I'm pretty sure will be even less, probably 1.5 or 2.
And then add in Blu-ray sales, add in
whatever.
It
made more than enough to justify a sequel.
Yeah.
And justified 4 sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah. That don't make money.
It's very respectable.
Yeah. I know I went, me, my brother, my cousin. We all went. We went to go see it.
Awakening made the most money.
The only one I saw in theater was Evolution. After that, I just waited for rental. Either by the time Awakening, I was renting them through PlayStation Store.
I went to theater to see Awakening, and I was not a happy camper. I'll tell you that. To see Awakening,
Awakening's the weakest one.
Is that the one with?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I would say Blood Wars is better.
I like Blood Wars because it's closure. They didn't just leave it open. Blood Wars is better than Awakening because it was closure.
Yeah, Awakening was just. I don't want to talk about that.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at some point. But I mean, it was just Awakening. Awakening felt. Let's say Awakening was rushed. That's what it felt like. Awakening didn't. It felt like they didn't have us all. And also, they were dealing with the fact that they didn't bring back the dude who played Michael. They didn't bring him back.
What the heck was that?
They didn't, and so he was just not in. He was the part of the focus of the movie, but he wasn't there. And it was, yeah. But we did get. Hang on a second. Let me bring it up. Hang on. I can type. I wasn't ready for this. Hang on. God damn it. Anyway, but what you did get was there it is. I have it right here. What Awakening was good enough because it did give us. It did get Charles Dance into the series. It brought Charles Dance into the series.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
And it gave him
elevates everything.
And it gave him, and he was even more, and his character, his bloodline was more important than in Blood Wars too. So that made it important and fun. Yeah. But again, although that final battle in Awakenings during with the super werewolf, what?
That was so bizarre.
The best comparison I can see for this franchise isn't, something like Twilight, but from what I've seen from an outsider's perspective, it has a lot in common with the Resident Evil films.
I think I see how you can say that because
I see where you're going with it.
They were just churned out.
Yeah, B-level kind of weird but dumb fun. Mila Jovovich,
with a hot female lead,
who went for about 15 years and puttered out near the end.
Well, point is though, Underworld realized much sooner when to call it quits than Resident Evil did. It's like, okay, we have maxed out with Blood Wars, and we're okay leaving it where it is. And probably because Kate Beckinsale also said, "Yeah, I'm done." She probably said, "I'm done." We're done with Celine. But all right, so I feel like we've covered this pretty well. We danced around the story. It's about, in the end, breaking traditions and not being caught in endless cycle, and also free will. I think that's part of the thing. The free will is this. I mean, Michael and Celine choosing each other is their own free will, and they're not even doing it in the way that Lucian wanted it. They want to run away from the whole thing. Lucian wanted to create a hybrid to destroy the vampires and end it in a bloody fashion, but Michael and Celine choose to try and get away from it all. They don't even want to fight in this war that both of them were unfairly dragged into. Because that's the thing. Celine was pulled into it out of Victor's hypocrisy and shame. And Lucian brought Michael into it out of vengeance.
Did they say in this movie, or was it the prequel that said how long after Sonia's death did Celine get turned into a vampire?
They didn't give an exact number.
I don't think they give the number.
It was a few hundred years because Celine, she was a peasant. It was still somewhat rural medieval times. So her family was a peasant. and because they again, second movie gives it a little bit more.
Mhm.
But so it would probably be, I would say, it was probably a good 300-400 years
That's
after
what I'm
that,
thinking too. I'm thinking around that
because
time.
they weren't even close to modern days in that one. And it was a Yeah, it was done more in a they did more of a flashback in the second movie. It was explained also through Corvinus. Corvinus talks about it.
Yeah. So I would say about 400 years
Yeah.
after the end of the prequel movie, because prequel movies will be 20 years after the virus had spread. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be the prequel movie. 20,
Mm.
so the war is still relatively fresh. It's
Well,
just
hadn't even
20 years.
in the prequel. Hadn't The war starts in the prequel? It starts in the
Yeah,
third
yeah,
act.
no, but no, when
Yeah.
the virus after it's 20 years after
Oh yeah, yeah.
Alexander Corvinus caught
Because
the virus.
and Marcus has turned
Yeah.
Victor. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like Marcus just turned Victor, and William is still running around giving the diseases, spreading
yeah,
the unstable strand to
yeah.
people and turning them
Because
into
this is the point where Victor, Marcus, and Amelia are all still in play. It's
yeah,
not until after they lock down William that they decide on their little
their pact.
as they're leapfrogging through time, as Victor
Yeah.
puts it. But yeah, so Celine is probably about, I would say, 800 years old.
I'm gonna roll those dice.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
And
there.
so they wanted out of it. So I like the movie's idea of free will, choices, not being trapped by other people's desires, and it starts that, and the rest of the franchise pushes that story forward, that theme forward. I think is safe to say. Keeps going with it, but that is again for another time. We are an hour. Oh, Jock, yeah, Evolution. I liked Evolution, and we'll talk about for half a second here. I like they take the fight scenes in Evolution to the next level.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
next level.
also they also decided I think they retconned a little bit too with Evolution.
How so? You
They
think?
don't in the first one here. Victor just says that Marcus is a descendant of Corvinus, not that he's literally Corvinus's son.
I think I know. Okay, that's true, but I think that the whole time, I think Victor's just being deceptive. I think that's what he was doing. I
Possibly,
think he was being deceptive.
yeah.
That's just
That
me.
could be it.
Yeah,
That's a
I think he's
fair.
being deceptive.
That's a fair interpretation.
Yeah,
That's a fair interpretation.
because remember he played it off as a story when the Lycan was regaling it to him like, oh yeah, it's a child story, until he started revealing more information. He said, all right, okay, all right, look, there's a descendant right there. All right, let's just
Yeah.
drop it. You know what I mean? So
That's
I
a fair
think,
interpretation.
yeah, I
it's
think
fair
he was just
interpretation.
being that way. That's
Yeah.
my thought. That's my thought.
No, I could go with that because you watch when of course the hindsight when you watch the first movie and you know what goes on, you're thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't line up, and I think it go either way. They might have might have retconned it a little bit,
It could
and
be.
they definitely retconned it because everybody believed Victor was the strongest when in fact Marcus is massively stronger than Victor because he is technically the first vampire.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. I mean, but it could just been a clever right. It's
deception.
said it is because the scribe said it that it was a clever deception in the second film when
Okay, does
Celine goes to him in his exile because he has all the yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So again, I think there was some retconning going on. I think there was a little bit of retconning. Yeah,
it could be. But if there was a retcon, I think it was done nicely. I think it did.
Oh yeah, that's how you do it. You don't destroy an original previous version to get your retcon solidified.
Yeah,
you deftly work it in and make it so that it's acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. So if that was a retcon, I think they did it the perfect way. If that was the way that they were doing it. So,
but that is a discussion for another time. Let's do the score. Since it was my week, I will go first. Again, like Dre, I simply enjoy this franchise. It's dumb fun, and all joking aside, whatever, all jokingly lusting after Kate Beckinsale aside, I enjoy this. It's all good fun to me. Like Jed said before, there's nothing necessarily negative about this movie. as Jed's probably going to say, it just necessarily isn't. It's also is not his cup of tea, as we've had many a time come across this on all our sides when we discuss stuff. So for me, again, I enjoy the set pieces. I enjoy the ambiance. I like how it looks. I think, as we said, what really jacks the score up for me is Michael Shaheen and Bill Nighy's acting, their performances, their characters. Everybody else, they're fine. Nobody gives a terrible performance. We didn't really talk about the soundtrack because it's just hard, heavy metal, rock and roll thrown in there, and techno music, which
2003 grunge.
Yeah, fine, good, great. I'm fine with that. So I can give it a flat 7 out of 10. It doesn't change cinema, but at the same time, it knows exactly what it is, and it's just dumb fun where I know what I'm getting every single time, and then I get to enjoy looking at Kate Beckinsale and have all kinds of dirty thoughts.
Indeed.
All right, Dre, as our guest, you may score.
So that's actually a really good synopsis there, Adam. So for me, I think the acting is spot on. Like you mentioned, Bill Nighy, Michael Sheen, legends. I think that's well done. I'm a fan of Gun Fu, so it gave me what I wanted, and I think the set pieces hold up absolutely phenomenally. The way stop motion was used, the way CGI was used, even 20 years later, doesn't make my eyes bleed. I think a lot of that worked well. As Jed had mentioned earlier, the story is paper thin, but at the same time, it didn't take me out of it. So for me, this movie's a 7.5. I think it could have got a little bit higher if there was a little bit less contrivance in the story and more Bill Nighy on screen. But I think a 7.5 is where it is for me.
And that's what the sequels do. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, granted, that's not an excuse, but the sequels give you more.
Yeah.
And they involve it. All right. Jed.
All right. Well, I definitely don't disagree with pretty much everything you guys said. Most of my points that I'm giving for this is for the set design, the technical side of things, the effects, and the acting, especially of Bill Nighy and what's his bucket, Michael Sheen. But I do think this script has significant issues that bring it down substantially for me. So taking, my biases out of it, if this were about enjoyment, it'd be much, much lower than this, I assure you. But I don't think I'm unfair saying that this is a 5 out of 10. It's just
I expected
an art
that.
of a bad film.
That's
I
what I
think it's a B movie, and so I think 5.
You're not wrong.
Not unfair.
B movie.
No, and I'm saying like your synopsis is correct. But if this was, I believe your score would be higher if it was your genre.
Yeah,
in your genre.
It's not. Yeah, that I think that's a thing. It's as we've discussed many times. This, as you pointed out brilliantly, when we choose these movies, sometimes some of us haven't seen them. It's not necessarily our thing. And just like last week, American Psycho was neither of our thing.
That was a bad choice.
We were not happy. But
I feel like this is the inverse of what happened when I chose Last Night in Soho. You didn't really have anything bad to say about it. It just wasn't your cup of tea.
Yeah, but I appreciated the movie for what it was, and I saw what, and I could see what it did well. And
100%.
Yeah, and this isn't your thing. But I wanted something Halloweeny for this month, and I've been wanting to do this one, so I chose it. And I could already tell you next year when we start off my first Halloween, we're doing the Frighteners next year.
Oh, look at that,
Michael J. Fox. That's because I just got my copy this week. I just got my copy this week, so we're doing Frighteners. I didn't know that was a Peter Jackson film.
Really?
Peter Jackson directed Frighteners.
Ooh, the lolly! I did not know that.
Yeah. So next year, I can tell you guys that now. Next year, we're doing, when we start October for Halloween movies, we're doing Frighteners. That's my first movie next year. But Jed, what do we got next week? Because we're not done with October yet this year.
We aren't. And because it is October, I felt the horror theme was the correct way to go. And we're going with the film that we all use as an example of why strong female characters are not a new thing. It is a sci-fi classic, the original Alien film.
Oh, wow.
We're doing Alien. Yep, we're starting there are only 2 Alien movies. Alien
Agreed.
And Aliens. There's only 2.
Agreed.
We stopped there. Ripley makes it home. Anyway, yeah. So we're doing Alien this week, and then again, as I keep saying, this year we're getting to it. Next week, 2 weeks. The Crow. Oh, we're doing The Crow. I love the Crow. I love the Crow. R.I.P. Brandon Lee. All right, guys. So thank you, Dre, for joining us this week.
So pleasure.
And we will see you on the round table. As always, Jed, you're here because you have to be here. Chat, thank you for hanging out with us. We hope you had a good time tonight. If you did, remember watching live now or on the replay, re-upload, hit that like button, leave a comment. Links for everybody in the description below. Check out the sites, and we will see you next time. Until then, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you may be.
Chevron 1, encoded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry havoc, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi, and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Come on, you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott. Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is...
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you'd like to reach out to me, please email me at theranernerd@gmail.com for all channel business purposes. I am on Twitter now, mostly for promotion and sharing of videos, maybe a little shit stirring here and there, who knows, at @theranernerd. You can also find me at the Geeks and Gamers forums under @ROAS, and you can see me on Rumble and Odyssey under the Renaissance Nerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.